So today we are going to be talking about 401ks and IRAs. And I don't know why, it just seems like this last week I've been hit up a lot just asking which one's better, which one they should do. And so we're going to do a video, except I'm not going to do this one. I'm going to have my partner and COO of Commune actually talk about this, because before he was the CEO of Commune, he was a financial advisor and this was his world. So he is going to go in on the differences between the two and kind of maybe destroying some of the myths out there, and also giving you some more resources to help you make the best decision when deciding what to invest in. And here's going to be my time to just throw out the ask. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're on a little growth moment, or growth vibe. So we're stoked. We actually set a plan to try to hit 10K. So all of this helps us get there. We appreciate you guys, and we'll get into it.
So one of the common questions that we get on a regular basis is, can you guys give me some guidance on what I should do with a retirement plan? Should I go with a traditional IRA? Should I go with a Roth? Do I put money into my 401k with my company that I work with? What's the right decision for me? And so we felt that it would be appropriate time to do a refresher piece on this to help you guys kind of navigate through that decision-making process. So understanding what are the different options, how do they work, and then lastly, what's the right one for you? Because for everybody, it would be something different. And so we'll touch on traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and then 401ks. Let's first talk about what makes them similar. So the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA, they both have a lot of similarities to them. First, you put money in as you're working and generating income for yourself, and you tuck it away for retirement purposes. Second element that makes them similar is the money that you invest in that account grows for you on a tax-free basis, meaning you're not getting taxed on a year-by-year basis on the money that you make in those accounts. And then lastly, when you hit age 59 and a half, you can draw down on that money without any penalty because you've reached kind of the age of retirement. So that, in a nutshell, is really what makes them similar. You put money into both of them, it grows for you tax-free, and then when you can take a distribution when you hit a certain age, 59 and a half. Now, what makes them different? And really, it boils down to taxation. And the decision for you as you look through Roth IRA versus traditional IRA is, do you want to get taxed on the money now, or do you want to get taxed on the money when you're almost 60 years old and you start taking a distribution on that money? And that's ultimately the decision that you have to make. Now, to put numbers or to give greater context to this, let's assume we're talking about a 25-year-old who's able to maximize his contribution or her contribution into the IRA. And they're able to put away what was the limit, about $500 a month, $6,000 for the year. And they're 25 years old and they put away the $500 every single month without fail. Every month they're hitting that threshold. By the time that person is about 65 years old, assuming they're making about 8% on their money, that $500 every single month over the course of the 30 plus years ends up being about $1.7 million, right? So in the traditional IRA, your $500 a month contribution when you're 25 all the way until you actually take the money out is pre-tax. When you are 65 years old and now you're saying, I put all this money in, I'm ready to take it out and to go do, help it substantiate my cost of living, that money is now taxable to you. That's actual taxable income. The Roth, however, the money you're putting in when you're 25 all the way to when you're 65, that's post-tax money. That's money that you already pay tax on that you're now investing. However, when you retire and now you take that $1.7 million out, that money is 100% tax-free. And so figure at 1.7 million bucks, assuming you're somewhere in the 20s on the kind of tax rate between federal and state, whatever, depending on kind of where you are, say about $400,000 ends up being taxable. So that's really the decision-making factor there, right? Do you want that 400,000 bucks extra that you would get out of the Roth because you're not paying taxes on it? Or do you want the $400,000 to be taxed to you upon retirement because you're getting the tax benefit now. And ultimately, that's really the decision-making process is, do you want to pay the tax now or do you want to pay the tax later? So now that we tackled kind of Roth IRA versus traditional IRA, let's get into the 401ks. The 401k, in terms of its taxation, is identical to the traditional IRA. They function the same in that the money you put in is pre-tax, and then the money that you ultimately take out upon retirement is taxable to you. What makes the 401k really beneficial, and arguably more beneficial than a traditional IRA, is when you work for an employer that will actually match the contribution that you make, some of them matching it dollar for dollar. Meaning if you put in the same $500 we talked about in the prior example, the company could theoretically match it with another $500. So you, from the very beginning, are generating 100% return on your money. And what's even more impactful is that that 100% return combined with your contribution now starts off the compounding effect over the course of the next 30 years as you work in either this career or various careers. Now, there are some restrictions or some elements of a 401k that, depending on who you talk to, some people aren't a big fan of. They're somewhat limited in terms of what you can invest in. Your company basically goes out and negotiates. We're going to allow our employees to invest in A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way through Z. And this is the only thing that they can invest their 401k into. So it is a little restrictive. But there are some other benefits to the 401k that people have found very useful for them. In your 401k, if you ever were in a situation where you needed liquidity or needed cash, some plans do allow for you to take a loan against your own money in order to do whatever it is that you need to do, and there's no penalty for that. So generally the rule of thumb is you can do 50% of your balance in your 401k up to about 50,000 bucks. And what's great about it is when you draw down on that loan, you're actually paying yourself the interest on the loan back into your 401k. So if you find yourself in a position where you have some credit card debt and you're paying 18, 19, 20% on that credit card, you could turn around to your 401k and say, I saved 50,000 bucks in that 401k. I can pull out 50% of it, take out the 25 grand, pay off the credit card, and now I'm paying, call it 5% interest on my 401k loan. And oh, by the way, I'm paying that interest to myself. And so instead of you paying, the credit card company, you're paying yourself and you're paying less. Plus you're going to ultimately be on a fixed payment plan. So it does help with eliminating debt. So that's just, one of the other options that's available to you in the 401k. Now, when it comes to what is the right decision for me, what should I do? General rule of thumb, and again, it's situational. Everybody's in a different situation, so maybe your specific case is a little bit different than this, but general rule of thumb would be you do your 401k, you contribute to your 401k up to what the company will match. So if the company tells you we'll do, up to, $100, you contribute $100. If they do, $750, you put the $750 in. If you have excess capital for savings left over after your 401k contribution and you want to target about 10 or 15% of your income, no more than 15% of your income for retirement purposes, if there's money left over, turn around and go open up a Roth IRA for yourself. And now you'll have a taxable vehicle upon retirement, and you'll have a tax-free vehicle upon retirement, both working for you at the same time. And so you'll have kind of the best of both worlds. You get some tax benefit today, and then you'll get tax benefit upon retirement as well. And so as you think through this decision, those are some of the elements that you want to think about. Now, having said all of that, the most important thing, more important than do I go Roth, do I go traditional, do I go 401k, is that you actually commit and develop a discipline of putting the money away every single month. The tax benefit is nice to have out there, and it's a good thing to kind of take into consideration as you make the decision. but nothing is more valuable than developing the discipline of every single month, putting that $500 away without question, and making sure that you invest it so that when you actually do retire, even if it's taxed to you at retirement, if you go the traditional or the 401k route versus the Roth, even if it's taxed to you at retirement, you built a massive savings account for yourself. For $500 a month, I know that I'm going to possibly get close to 1.7 million bucks at retirement. There's so much value in that, but I would never be able to achieve it if I didn't develop the discipline today and stay consistent with that discipline on a month-by-month basis. And so, thinking through what is the best option for me is important. Nothing replaces developing that discipline for yourself of putting that money away every single month. So hopefully this refresher was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them and we'll do our best to answer them.